We got, is it William?
Yeah, hey.
How you doing, William?
All right. First of all, I don't want to go off topic. I mean, I don't even know what the topic is
It's
today.
whatever you want to talk about. Whatever you want to talk about is fine.
I actually called last week, and I was the last caller, and I asked, why do people pray? Remember that?
Yeah.
Actually, I asked the wrong question at the time. I didn't mean to ask that question, but I wanted to use prayer as an example for what I was really trying to say, and that was religious people say that they can communicate with a God, and prayer, I guess, is one way of doing that. So, if this is true, how come they're not having constant conversations with their God? You know what I'm saying?
I think some of them think they do.
There are some who think they do.
Well, yeah, I guess you can call them schizophrenic or whatever, but but I'm saying that if this God supposedly is true or is real to these people, then all these religious people should be able to communicate with it, you know?
Yeah, and it's interesting how, you'll get different groups of religious people claiming that they've talked to God, and God seems to change his message depending on which little group he's talking to. So you have, for example, the the Fred Phelps crowd and the radical, say the anti-gay groups who think that God is all thumbs up about them being anti-gay, and then you have the more liberal and relaxed Christians who are more accepting and not as judgmental about them, and who think that God's message to them is one of, no, just love everyone and accept them and try to welcome them into the body of Christ or whatever. See, it's interesting. It's interesting how God just seems to tailor his message to whatever the recipient of the message wants to hear. And it's always interesting how God always seems to agree with you. Whatever sort of preconceived political or social or other idea you've already decided you like, it's interesting how God just always manages to validate that and go, yeah, you're dang right.
The only time I've ever heard a preacher claim that God convicted him that he was doing something wrong was when the admission of this wrong and the change of this wrong benefited him in some way, or he'd already been exposed to the public as, a colossal pervert or whatever. And then it's this teary, swaggart thing of,
I just got caught.
I've sinned against my God, and he's convicted me that I was wrong. Yeah, you big fraud.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't mean to interrupt you guys. I mean, the reason why I bring this up is because religious people say that you can't prove God physically because he's, I guess, immaterial or something. But another good way of proving the existence of their God is if all of them or all of a certain religion, I'm not saying every single religious person, but every religious person in a certain religion can demonstrate by just having, constant conversations with their God. That wouldn't be absolute evidence, but it would be very, extraordinary evidence.
Yeah, especially if it was a consistent message that was also specific and would be beyond the ken of the people. Like, tell me what number I'm thinking of.
Yeah, exactly.
If three Christians write in right now, if 3 Christians write in right now to tell me that God just told them what number I was thinking of just then, that'd be impressive.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. Or it's this kind of criticism is along the same lines that you would use to criticize psychics. It's how, so many of them claim to have these predictive powers of the future, and yet they always predict different things. They usually get stuff wrong. There's a video right now, I think it's on the Skeptico blog, of this woman who claims to be psychic, and she is taping, I don't know if it's a TV show.
It's like your daily horoscope.
Yeah, your daily horoscope or something, and she is taping this show of giving all of her predictions when, the earthquake that hit LA a few days ago, this hits in the middle of the video while they're taping.
While she's saying that, the stars are showing you that it's a good day, nothing to worry about.
And then this earthquake hits. It's like, oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, it's freaked.
And it's all on tape, and of course it's making the rounds of the blogs right now, and it's fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, it's just in the same way that you could, say, test psychics by saying, let's get 3 or 4 independent ones, and they won't know each other. They won't know that they won't know who's being contacted. They'll be contacted independently. They'll be asked to make 10 predictions, independently. And if say 9 out of 10 of them, let's say if all the predictions are the same, and if a certain number of them are if
any one of them could do it. All we do is come up with a valid test for psychics.
Here's the test.
And license them.
Whatever their predictions are, let's say if some of them happen to be the same among each of the 4 or 5 individual psychics, like they all predict different things, but each one of them independently all predicts together that, there will be, say a certain public official or will get killed, or a certain celebrity will like slip on a banana peel and kill himself or something like that. And that particular, the one that they all happen to jointly predict all by themselves, is the one that comes true. That could point to something interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much all they really have to demonstrate. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean,
so along the same lines, if you had 7 or 8 different religious believers of different faith traditions, who didn't know each other and were all being independently tested, and they were all praying and they were talking to God, and then at the end of a year of this, you could pinpoint, oh wow, they're all getting the same message.
Yeah.
That would be
consistent,
something
reliable, verifiable.
Yeah, something that says now you're looking at something. But unfortunately, like the prayer studies that have been done, they don't have that kind of methodology, or they have, the kind of methodology that allows for too much cheating or wild variables to come in.
No. They've been tested with good methodology, and they fail every single time.
Like the intercessory prayers.
What people will say, well, what's the harm? And these psychic frauds that are taking people's money in order to comfort them by pretending to talk to dead loved ones, you're vultures, and you are doing harm. And I would advocate a law, by the way, that required anybody who's going to do psychic fortune telling, etc., blah, 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 to be tested and licensed. If you're going to take money from people claiming that you can do something, which I guess they can get around with that, this is for entertainment purposes only crap. But I think you should, demonstrate you can do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
We require it for bathroom products. Why don't we require it for psychics?
Yeah, because I'll tell you. I mean, if I could communicate with the creator of the universe, I would. I'd do it all the time. I wouldn't just do it like when I want something, or if I'm thinking, for the food I'm about to eat or something. I mean, I'd be just having, most of the time I'm just having conversations with it. Just like what you do with, any person.
Yeah.
Well, you're assuming he's got enough time to spend with you. Maybe he's got other people.
But if he's omnipotent, then he can multi-track.
Oh, yes, the God who can be everywhere at the same time.
Omnipresent, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what's the point of being God if you don't get a few perks in your superpowers, right?
It's a shame those perks are contradictory, but...
Yeah, oh well.
Actually, that brings me up to another thing I want to touch up real quick. I was listening to the last episode, and some callers before me last Sunday. Actually, 2 of them brought up very similar points, and that was that God is everywhere, that He's everything, and that He made everything. Now, they weren't very careful with their words, because usually a Christian will say that God creates everything good, and that everything bad, I guess, is by man or something, but he didn't say that. So pretty much what they're saying is that God is everywhere, He's everything, and He made everything. And then that one of the people said that they also believe in the devil. So does that mean that God's also the devil? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
And it also depends on which Christian you ask. There's a passage in Isaiah where supposedly God Himself says, I create good and evil. Although they're selectively reinterpreting that now as difficulty or trouble. Whatever. Soften your Bible all you want. It's still an atrocious book.
But anyway.
Actually,
we want to get to a couple other guys who are in the last 20 minutes of the show, but listen, we appreciate your call, and call us back next week if you don't mind.
Okay.
We like that.
Thanks, William.
We just want to make sure we have time for everyone.
And as a reminder to William and everybody else, we're on for another 20 minutes or so, and then we go to dinner at Threadgill's on Riverside. And any atheist or atheist-friendly person in the Austin area, well, you can come from out of town if you want. You're welcome to come down and join us.
Sure, and not to cut William off, but we want to make sure that the guys aren't waiting too long, and everyone gets a chance. Who wants?
We're trying to get better about taking more calls as quick as they come in, for the most part.
That's